Hello and welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to show you the long-awaited sketchbooks. I have quite the collection. I've got hot press, cold press, handmade, mixed media. I've got cheap sketchbooks. I've got expensive sketchbooks. I have all the sketchbooks. So let's dig in. I will talk about each one of these. I'll talk about the brand, the paper type, where I got it, if I made it, and tell you if I recommend it or not. And I'll tell you what I loved, what I didn't love. Let's dig in. Okay, so this first one is my very first sketchbook from 2019. Very first sketchbook. And this one is the Handbook Company brand. Don't think I would buy this brand again. Just saying. So, like I said, I started this in 2019, and here's a cactus. So this is like the beginning of when I started to really dig into watercolor and get really serious. So, these are rough, but they're not like beginner rough, I would say. I mean, I've been into watercolor my entire life, and didn't really get serious about it till 2019. So, played around with it quite a bit from like 2015 on, and this sketchbook came with me as we moved from California to Utah and then looked for land in Idaho, and those mushrooms were on some land that we looked at. This is my first intro into gouache, so a couple of these paintings are done with the Arteza brand gouache, and I had a lot of fun with those. This is me trying to replicate something online, and then that was a photo I found online. These are paintings I did from images of my father-in-law's garden. And these are just some funky, lots of swatches in here. Lots of playing around. Oh, this one's from our anniversary camping trip. I took a picture of the campfire with the trees as the background, and when I got home, I painted it in a sketchbook. I love that one. That beets one was done with actual beet juice and it faded. There's another gouache there on the right. Some whales. Everybody paints whales when they first start. Or is it just me? Those were some paintings I did with Tombow markers. More swatches. Playing around. That's gouache, both of those. Sunflowers, wheat fields. All of it's bringing back memories. Oh, I missed San Diego, so that one there on the left is from San Diego. Swatches, me trying out new products. Okay, the one on the left is watercolor, the one on the right is gouache, and they're from the same-ish location. Those two are gouache. Those two are from a trip to Idaho before we moved there. And then this is, I was asked to do a book cover for a friend. I was playing around with that. More swatches. Lots of swatches. This is kind of when my swatching journey started. Those were the worst gouaches I ever bought. Just saying. There's some brush practice. Some more swatches. Oh, and this is when I was playing with my Tombow brush markers. I decided to name them because, gosh, Tombow doesn't have names for them. How sad. And that was me swatching out my Arteza gouache in the end. Okay, this next one is a swatching sketchbook from 2020. It is a Moleskine watercolor album, 5x8. It is a cold press, 200 GSM pulp paper sketchbook. It's not cotton. Would I buy this again? Probably not. I feel like for that price, I could get something that's cotton. Okay, so this was really when I started getting into swatching. I was actually playing around with dropping water into the swatches as they dried, playing with salt, and so that's what this sketchbook is. Watercolor pencils here, and mixing, more mixing. So this is me playing with the Miyahime gouache and using it like watercolor. I didn't love it as gouache, so I was just seeing what it could do. Honestly, if the Miyahime or like the Arteza brand gouaches are the only ones, gouache, I keep saying that. Gouache, I feel like is plural, so we're going to say gouache. If that's the only gouache you've tried, please try something professional because it's so much better. Okay, this was when I first got Aussie Red Gold. It was like my second Daniel Smith that I ever bought on my own. Here's where I was adding salt to everything. Here's some mixing that I was doing. I love these mixes. The quinacridone coral mixes really well. This is the Arteza gouache when I bought the 24 color set. And then here's some more gouache used as watercolor. Oh, and then I think I had gotten Cascade Green. That was my first ever Daniel Smith watercolor that I purchased on my own. The rest I inherited. I told that story many times, so if you haven't heard it, go watch my other videos. Here's me playing with gouache. I hated gouache when I first tried it because, like I said, I was using really cheap brands. I just hated it. I'm a watercolor girl. I like the way it flows. This is, the Jane Davenport Mermaid markers. Those are so fun. I actually don't have them anymore. There's my Winsor Newton Cotman pocket set and my Daniel Smith palette. So all of those colors I inherited. And then you can see just down there at the bottom my Cascade Green. So that was my first watercolor I bought myself with my own money, and I was so excited. And that color has a special place in my heart. And that's that. So there's the little card that was on the front. Nowadays I glue it in the back just so it's easy to open it up and see what kind of sketchbook it is. But yes, I would not purchase that one again, but it was good quality. All right, this next one is an Arteza watercolor book. This is 5x8. It's pulp paper, 110 pound. These are still to this date some of my favorite sketchbooks for just playing. They're inexpensive and I don't feel stressed about it. I still buy these. So this was February 2021 through July 2022. And just a lot of play. That was playing around trying to paint my son Jared. I was playing with skin tones, and I think I was using Aussie Red Gold for his red hair. That was my first pet portrait. So that was me practicing. I always use my sketchbooks for swatching on my colors, and so that was my first time. There is Cascade Green, playing around with that. I was in the habit of clipping all my random swatches into my sketchbook. And there's me testing out pencils and pens. There's me playing with all my different paintbrushes. It's actually a really fun exercise to do, is get all your paintbrushes and just see what they can all do. And then, let's see, what is this one? Oh, this is another, that's another pet portrait. The one before was a hummingbird I painted. And then these are just me playing. This is what I call a messy sketchbook. This isn't like one that I give tours of, but I just want to show everybody. You'll see the difference by the end of this video between a messy sketchbook and like a just play sketchbook and ones that I took a little more time with. And then this was my second ever bulk purchase of watercolors of Daniel Smith. And so those are the colors that I purchased. Memories. Honestly, like I can remember where I was sitting at my desk or the couch or what movie we were watching as a family when I was playing in these sketchbooks. And it's just bringing back so many memories. And cobalt teal mixes. There's another pet portrait possibly. Yep, that's a pet portrait. Absolutely. So yeah, this would be like the start of my pet portrait journey. And these are just random studies I did playing with different colors. I was just seeing the difference between the different brands that I had of French ultramarine and cobalt blue. Lots of fun clipping stuff in. It is kind of fun to go through these and little memorabilia and swatch cards fall out. I mean, look at it. It's messy. It's not pretty. It's not like something I'd publish in a book. Some of the pages are. I'm actually considering making a book out of all my favorite sketchbook pages and just talk about sketchbooks. We'll see. There's my little card for my my wheel, my Stephen Quiller wheel, the porcelain palette that I have. That was my first time filling it, and those are the colors I chose. Now I have all my pet portrait colors in it. I think I'm going to actually set that card aside and remake it with my new colors that I have in it. Quinacridone Gold Study. I have Sennelier and Daniel Smith of that color, and I was just testing to see which I liked better. I'm not a fan of the Sennelier because of the gumminess, and so I don't use it, but it's beautiful, and I think Sennelier is a beautiful brand. This was me trying to create my own Schmincke super granulating mixes. I'm still doing that, by the way. I have a whole sketchbook dedicated, as you'll see here in a minute. And then mixing my white knights. And then here in the back, there's a pocket in this one that's clear. I really like the clear pocket. And there's just some more swatch cards in there. So you'll see this sketchbook again multiple times because I have so many of these Arteza. I have square, I have portrait and landscape. So here's another one. And you can see the little embossing there on the back. Ooh, this one was fun. I remember doing these little poppies. Playing with lunar blue, playing with moon glow. Oh, that's so pretty. I just love these pages. I was watching a YouTube channel where she does a lot of swatching that looks like this. Aliona Creates. I think that's how her name is pronounced. I'm sorry if I slaughtered it. And I just love the way she swatches. And I was kind of playing around with that idea. Here's some buff titanium mixes. You can add buff titanium to any color to kind of like neutralize it or make it more pastel-y. So that's what I was doing. And there's just me swatching my palette again because I reorganized it and added to it so many times. And then this was me putting together a little travel palette. Not little. Probably had like 40 something colors in it. And then here's some more mixing. Oh, I know what this was. These were Core. I got a sample of Core watercolors, which I absolutely think are the best quality ever. Like, aside from Daniel Smith, Core, the way that they flow are really amazing. But don't worry, Daniel Smith, I'll never forsake you. Those were fun. Those were some stamps and some drawings that I did. Just some more swatching. Never gets old. Never gets old. And then, oh yeah, that was me playing with color wheels. I went through a phase. Color wheels never get old either. I just find new ways to do them. And then there's, I got some Winsor & Newton designer gouache on eBay. Some of it was bad and smelled quite moldy. So you have to be careful buying on eBay. Just saying. More color wheels. That's actually a really fun practice to pick 3 colors and see how they mix. And then there's me doodling. I think we were sitting in church or something. I always bring my sketchbook to church, and me and my daughter or my son were sketching our little doodles. There's just me playing around. I had just gotten naphthalide maroon and gray titanium, and I was just seeing how they worked, and then that was something that I never finished. Like I said, some of these pages I was just playing. It's not supposed to be beautiful. Oh, that one on the right I ended up making a big one out of. I need to find that and hang it on my wall somewhere. And then this was that one has iridescent gold. So it's lavender and wisteria, iridescent gold, and a little bit of cobalt blue. And turned out so pretty. And then this is a skin tone study I did. I think I might have been watching a YouTube video. Who knows? There's me just playing around. There's my little travel palette. And then, ooh, that card. I'm about to pull out a card. I was trying to pick my next Daniel Smith earth tone color. I ended up picking transparent brown oxide, tiger's eye, and burnt tiger's eye. And I love that card. It just makes me happy to look at it for some reason. Ooh, this was a day I had to have surgery, and before the surgery, I stopped at Blick in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is near the hospital that I was going to for my surgery, and I picked, that's when I got the transparent oxides. I got transparent yellow, brown, and red. And those are now on my Daniel Smith dot card. And at the time, I was still just watching the Daniel Smith lives, but not turning my camera on or speaking. I was just kind of lurking in the background. And to think that now I'm an ambassador is pretty cool. Here's a travel palette update. I swear. My husband still teases me. He comes in and I'm making a new palette and he's like, Ash, do you really need a new palette? Ooh, here was me playing with the Jean Haynes Master Artist set. I had to sub some colors, I think. No, I didn't. I think I swatched them from the dot cards, from the big set of dot cards. I'm telling you, if you want to buy a set, any of the Daniel Smith sets, get the Jean Haynes set. It is gorgeous. Those are some of my favorite colors to this day. Ooh, I bought a quinacridone burnt orange stick, and that color is also on my dot card. Here's me mixing Lunar Black, which is always a party. And I don't know what that is, so I think I was trying to swatch my palette and do a color chart, and math is not my strong suit, and color matrices are kind of a mathematical thing. Ooh, my first cat pet portrait. I remember that. That cat was like 17 years old and still alive, and I got to paint her portrait. It was super fun. This was a black lab that I did, and I have to say, I kind of slaughtered it. I really need another chance at doing a black lab because I'm not proud of that one. But the picture that I was given was a little bit challenging, so I give myself a little bit of grace on that one. And then this is me trying to make Schminke's Forest Blue. I ended up using cobalt turquoise, and I think I nailed it. The thing is, though, they use Mars Black. Schminke uses Mars Black, and theirs is more like warm, almost like a brown tint than the Lunar Black, so it's kind of tricky. And then there's me putting salt on a nose for the first time. This was me planning a horse, and he was 41 years old at the time. And I got to hand that pet portrait over to the girl that I painted it for, and she cried. It was beautiful. Okay, this is my very first, here on the right, is my very first watercolor set I purchased in like 2015, and I was saying goodbye to them because they need to be thrown away. And so I swatched them one last time. It's just a cheap $20 set that I bought. And then here is, one of my favorite pet portraits I did of Gus. And there's me making more color wheel palettes. Okay. All right. This one is an Etcher sketchbook, just the white fabric covered ones. And I recovered it with leather that I salvaged. Don't judge me. Salvaged it from my husband's supplies. And this is the big A4 one. And it's my first 100% cotton sketchbook. So this one was exciting for me. And I spent a lot of time on these paintings, as you can probably tell. And I love looking back through the sketchbook. But because I recovered it, I kind of destroyed it and had to tape it back together. This was me planning out a big painting that I did. And I didn't end up doing the butterflies in the final one. There's a baby giraffe and a baby elephant. I was playing with Hematite Genuine. It was my first time getting it. And then the transparent brown and red oxides. I am so proud of that painting. I almost want to have it printed big. And there's a camel. I'm not really proud of that one, but it was fun to paint. I'm trying to remember what movie I was watching. I was recovering from surgery when I did these paintings, actually. I've had a lot of surgeries. Okay, there's a crab and a fish. Those were fun. So these were just pictures that I found on Unsplash and did them in my sketchbook. Oh, there's my Mama Kitty. That's my first ever time painting our cat Ember, or Mama Kitty. And then that's our fathead cat. Actually, I think that's... I'm trying to remember which cat that is. We have a lot of black and white cats. Well, we used to. Now we only have one. There's Gollum. So there's, I kind of did like Schmeagol Gollum. So that's Schmeagol. And then below is Gollum. I had so much fun painting these. So, you know, he has like the split personality. So I wanted to do kind of his like nice personality on top and his mean one on bottom. So love those. There's me practicing my first pet portrait of Bella, this 17-year-old cat. And then down below is me practicing that black lab I mentioned before. And this one I did using a picture on Unsplash. Okay, this was an old church I took a picture of, and then I turned it into a haunted house because that was Halloween night that I painted that one. That was a lot of fun. And then here's just some playing around and trying to achieve depth. Love that one. That one's really pretty too. That was fun to do. I don't do a lot of landscapes, but I like to try. I like to play around. And then this one is one of my favorites. We were having a Lord of the Rings or Hobbit marathon. I can't remember. We do it a lot. And I decided to spend my time watching those movies by doing Hobbiton. So that was so much fun. And these are some of my favorite paintings to date. I can't just watch movies. FYI, you'll learn this about me. I do not just watch a movie. I have to paint. I have to do something with my hands, or I either fall asleep or I want to get up and do something. So I have to keep my hands busy. And then this was during a Harry Potter marathon. If you can't tell, that was so much fun. And at that time I was swatching the colors I used to make certain things, and that I really like the way that looks. Really happy with how those came out. And there's a croissant. I don't know. Oh, it looks like I was playing with my Tombow brush markers down there. And then I was painting this while watching that movie. I can't remember what it's called, with my daughter. Kind of did that for her. And then there's the Jean Haynes master set again. I love those colors. There's a cute little spider. And a manta ray. And then here's some fun swatches I did. I love the way those ones turned out. They're so beautiful. Sometimes swatches can be a work of art in and of themselves. And then that one's kind of a doodle that I did. And then this is me playing with my White Nights watercolors, doing some mixing. And then my portable palette painter. And then you can guess what I was watching when I painted this. And no, not the new one. The original, the OG, the only one I recognize. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. This was a red splotch and I painted a ladybug on top of it. And that's our house, buried under thousands of feet of snow. That year was crazy. We had so much snow. And then that was the top of the Utah State Capitol. I took a picture of it on my way home from Salt Lake City. And then there's a forest with the sunlight. I was trying to capture sunlight. And then these are all the colors in my palette. And then I also did the ones that I added on separate papers. I added a lot of colors in 2021. Don't judge me. And that's it for that one. Okay, this next one is a U.S. Art Supply watercolor book. Came in a 2-pack. I hated the cover, so I recovered it with some faux suede or something. This is pulp paper. And I use this for my Inktober. So in the back, I put all the supplies and materials. I think moving forward, I would just do it in the front because it's kind of cool looking. And I planned it out ahead of time and had my kids help me plan out what we would do for each prompt. So I kind of involved my kids and they enjoyed watching the process. So we went with animation type things. So you've got Disney, Pixar, Simpsons, Futurama, just anything, even SpongeBob. So anything animated, we just decided to use the prompts to pick something from an animation. So this one turned out super fun. So one is Gargoyle. So I did Hunchback of Notre Dame. And then 2 was Scurry. So of course I had to do Ratatouille. Because rats, Scurry. Oh, and then this is Fidget for Bat. I love this character from The Great Mouse Detective. And that is Scallop from SpongeBob episode, If You Know, You Know. And then there's Merida for Flame because she has flaming red hair. And for Bouquet, I did Flower the Skunk from Bambi. And then for Trip, I did Otto from The Simpsons, If You Know, You Know. And Match, I did those Siamese naughty kittens. And then, Krabby. Little Mermaid. That one is from Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. And of course, we've got cute little baby Dory for Forget. And for Kind, I did Olaf. And I put salt into that backwash. And I thought it turned out really pretty. And then for empty, I did that blob guy. I think his name's Bob. And armadillo, I did the armadillo on Rango. And for foul, I did Hey Hey. That one was fun. For salty, I did Crush. And for scrape, I did SpongeBob scraping a chocolate bar because that was one of my favorite episodes. And for ponytail, I did Leela from Futurama. And there we have Baloo bluffing. And then, of course, we've got Courage for bad dog. He's not really a bad dog. He's a good dog. And then Heist, I've got the professor guy. And Booger. And then we got the fairies, fairy godmothers. Or what are they called? Fairies? I don't know. And then we've got Meg from Hercules for tempting, because she's a temptress. And then for ego, we've got Megamind, because, yeah, you want to talk about an ego. Love Megamind. And then we've got Scar for snack. And this one's my favorite probably in the whole book. I don't even need to explain it. My favorite. My kids laughed so hard when I did that one. And then, we've got baby Brent. And then Gear, the kid from Up. And then the last one is Wilbur for farm. And then I did try, I made a valiant attempt at 2023's Inktober. I made it like 8 days, okay? Come on. So this one I was doing movies, like horror movies specifically, and any other movies that I could think of. So for map example, I did Harry Potter. For golden, I did Indiana Jones. I'm quite proud of my portrayal of him. And then that Gizmo one, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorites. So for this one, I mixed gouache and watercolor and had a lot of fun with it. And then these are my sketches that I never got to paint. So guys, it would have been a good year. That was going to be a Lord of the Rings one for Wander. And I fell off the wagon. Actually, I didn't fall off the wagon. I basically tipped the wagon over and lit it on fire. This one is the same sketchbook as the last one. Don't make me type it out again. I recovered it. These are Daniel Smith demos. So I just started this sketchbook and also kind of like planning out paintings as well. But this is my first sketchbook I ever did for Daniel Smith Lives. And it's so special to me because now these people are like my fellow brand ambassadors, and it's just cool to look back. I remember every one of these live sessions. Oh my gosh. He was painting a dark-skinned person, and so I was trying. Guys, if you have not checked out those free Daniel Smith Live with John Cogley events, they're on Thursdays and Fridays. They're amazing. It's free. And like you get to ask questions and learn, and like it is so invaluable. So every Friday there's a free demo from a artist. And then on Thursdays, we kind of talk about color and swatching, and oh, it's amazing. Like, if you like to swatch, these are your people. This is your thing. Like, and you can watch the replays on YouTube or Facebook. Daniel Smith has a YouTube channel, and they also have a Facebook page where you can watch the replays. You could totally binge watch a lot of these and learn a ton. Oh, that one was fun. So this guy, Leonard he's Droplet My on Instagram. Holy crap. He does food paintings, like desserts and stuff. I had so much fun painting that cake. Cindy Briggs, she's a fellow Utahn. And she does some really cool stuff. I really like her. Sylvia Monge, she does a lot of florals and abstract kind of stuff. And then Ethel, our dear Ethel. I love it. She does a lot of fun stuff too. And then this guy was talking about gouache. I loved this one. She does gouache as well. Emma Van de Voort, Lewis the Dog Studio. Shout out to my girl. I didn't know this, but she's also really tall. She's like 6'3". I'm 6 feet. And so when I found that out, I was like, yep, sisters for life. Us tall girls gotta stick together. The quinacridons are so beautiful. Oh, and this one, Michael Solivier. If you have ever had a chance to watch a Michael Solivier demo, do it because he is so gracious and has so much good information to share. Here we were talking about red, whites, and blues because it was 4th of July. So that one is fun. And I made those bands. I sewed that together because I'm special. This is another recovered journal. This is the Tumuarta watercolor journal. I love this one. I will tell you it fell apart on me because the pages are perforated. That's the only thing I don't like, but it's 25% cotton. I had so much fun with this sketchbook. So this is one I kept in my bag everywhere I went. So if I had to wait for my son, those two, I waited for my son at the orthodontist. And that other one I was cooking dinner. That one I was at a church event. Yeah, that one I was cooking dinner. And I love how tiny it is. I can do a whole sketch really, really quickly. That was me watching church when we were doing Zoom church. That was a doctor's office. That was the car wash. Like, I was doing these fun little sketches in like 5-10 minutes, and I had so much fun with this. I ended up taking it with me to the hospital when I had my big kidney transplant surgery. And so there are a few sketches in it from the surgery, but this is me waiting in the car for my husband. I was doing a sketch of a sketch. That was fun. And that was my daughter at pool therapy. And that was me checking in for surgery. So my medication list paper. And then this was after I was like 5 days into recovery in the hospital. I finally had enough IVs taken out of my arm. This was the Airbnb we stayed in before my surgery, and that's my mug. That's the pigeon out my window of my hospital room overlooking the Salt Lake Valley. And yeah, I had 3 IVs in my hands when I woke up, so I couldn't sketch until like day 4 or 5 when they finally pulled out all but 1 IV. And then the rest of it's just after I got home. That was when I got Diopside Genuine. That's when I got Winsor & Newton Indigo. That's my Portable Painter Palette Classic. That's my favorite palette, hands down. The Micro is my second favorite palette. And then that was me playing with my Winsor & Newton Cotman. Doesn't see a lot of use, but I like it. Playing with my Bob Ross Altoid Tin palette, and that's the end of that one. Okay, here's my first handmade sketchbook that I'm going to show. It is a 3x5-ish Fabriano Artistico, 100% cotton, soft press, extra white, 140 GSM. I don't really know exactly the cost of making these sketchbooks because I made like 3 at a time. I believe it cost me like $16 each when I divided up the cost of everything. So it's actually really cost effective to make your own sketchbooks. As you can see, it's not perfect. And this one I just swatched in. I love this paper. It's my favorite paper. I don't know that I would use it for my like studio sketchbook where I just plan sketches and stuff, just because the paper is really pricey. I buy it in sheets of 10 because that literally is just about the only way you can buy it, because it's very special. It's unique. It's not quite hot press and it's not quite cold press. It's somewhere in the middle, and I just love it. It's so unique. I've never painted on anything like it. And that was just me playing around while watching movies with my family. During the winter, we watch a lot of movies, so you're going to see a lot of sketches that I did during the winter time. In the summer, I don't do as much. And I go through phases. Okay, this is another studio sketchbook for Daniel Smith Lives and Planning. So that was a pet portrait. That was me playing around with indigo and jadeite genuine. I had big plans for the sketchbook, and then it kind of evolved. So there's one where I did a buffalo. There's one where I did another pet portrait. There's me playing with Lunar Earth, which I had just gotten. That was me practicing out my sunflower, my giant sunflower that's in my studio. I had just gotten the Daler Rowney Aquafine colors. There's another pet portrait, 2 pet portraits actually. There's me planning out my Portable Painter Micro. There's me playing with Shadow Violet. There's me playing with what dry gouache I want to have in my palette. That palette went moldy. There's another pet portrait. Another pet portrait. Yeah, 2023 was a good year for pet portraits. I did a ton of those. This year hasn't been as much. That's okay. There's another one. There's another pet portrait. Sorry if you hear my stool squeaking. My back's been hurting today because I've been working and sitting for too long probably. There's another, that's a horse I did. Oh, and this is me planning out my pet portrait palette dot card. And then the final dot card is in there. So it's really special. It's upside down, I know. Yep, there's me planning a travel palette. There's me planning a cat painting. It's really cool to be able to look back on those. There's my raccoon painting and just see what colors I used and what my thought process was. There's that pug wearing a denim jacket that I did for the Shopkeep Artie demo. That was fun. That's on my YouTube channel, or linked on my YouTube channel. And a parrot painting. So yeah, this wasn't a Daniel Smith demo sketchbook. This is just kind of a studio planning sketchbook, if you will. And that's another one of those Arteza. It's just the square version. And they do come in a pack of 2. Now, this is another Arteza watercolor book. They do come in a 2-pack. This is the big one, though. This is the 8x12. I'm not sure how I felt about it being so huge. And these are currently unavailable. I have not been able to find them anywhere. So, Arteza kind of comes and goes. This was a Daniel Smith live demo sketchbook. And as you will see, this one eventually evolves. Because halfway through this one, I became a brand ambassador, I think. No, because I became a brand ambassador September 2023. So I already was a brand ambassador. There's a pet portrait. There's a demo. There's a Thursday where we talked about color mixing. I mean, come on, you guys. If you haven't attended one of these, what are you doing? Probably working, and that's valid, but you can watch the replays on YouTube. Yeah, and because I started being involved, I was grabbing other sheets of paper to do swatching and helping out with the Thursdays, and so those papers just got shoved into the sketchbook afterwards. There's Buffy's. Oh my gosh, I loved that. That demo she did with the palm trees was so cool. And then there's me planning some paintings. Another swatching. Ooh, look at those colors. They give me chills. So pretty. And then Lorraine Watry was talking about how she uses tape instead of masking fluid. And so I was playing around with that. Tape in these cheap sketchbooks does not go well. Just a heads up. It will rip the paper. Oh, Yan Min. He's amazing. He's been ill and he's finally back on Zoom with us, so we're glad he's back. That's Mark Begbie. He does a lot of really fun like car paintings and stuff. And then this was me playing around with neutral tint and Perylene Scarlet. Somebody recommended it, and it was really cool. That was a really cool demo as well. And then this was, we got to pick our 3 colors that we would like to mix. And look at those bright mixes. Opera pink, cobalt teal, and lemon yellow for the win. Those colors also come in gouache, and they make some really beautiful mixes. And then this was when we started we went through all the flip chart colors, and we started with the yellows and then oranges, and we made it through like all 266 Daniel Smith colors each Thursday, just picking like 20 colors each Thursday. That was really fun. I know I say that a lot. That was really fun, but it was. This is my girl Caroline Diebel. She was doing a demo, and I love her stick set. It's so pretty. I got to hang out with her on the painting holiday when we went to Italy. Yeah. Reds and purples. Cobalt violet. Pretty colors. Stella Canfield. We love our Stella. She does some really pretty splashy florals. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's like I don't know, it's like an art form in and of itself watching her paint. Ooh, Jorge Corpuna, my man. Look at that thing he taught me to do. Do you see that thing on the right? He taught me that. Amazing. And then we were playing with greens. So pretty. Oh gosh, look at that. Would you look at that? I have used up so much paint just doing those Thursday live sessions. I was practicing my loose florals. So there you have it. 64 pages. And the crazy part is some sketchbooks will say sheets and some will say pages. And so sheets and pages are different. They'll try to cheat. Okay. This is a Strathmore mixed media art journal softcover. I love these. I do not like the Strathmore watercolor journals. So the mixed media paper is just really fun to play on. And this is when I got my Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s. And so you'll see a lot of that in here. And I just had so much fun. I was not precious at all in this sketchbook. I started out using it for a course I was taking. It was called Sketch Inspired by Paul Kelly. It was a course I actually paid for, and I did it while I was in the hospital. These sketchbooks overlap because I will often have like 5 different sketchbooks going at any given time. I'll have one for my backpack, one tiny one for my purse, one for next to the couch, one for the studio, one for demos. And so a lot of these overlapped. And so they don't really go in any order because I finish them at different times. But I do make sure to finish them. Yep, I remember this. I was on the couch recovering from surgery for 8 weeks, I want to say. It was a long recovery. It's like 4 months of recovery. And so I was just on the couch. I filled up so many sketchbooks during my recovery. So 2023 was a good year for sketchbooks. And luckily, while I was recovering in the hospital and totally heavily medicated, I went on eBay and ordered a whole bunch of sketchbooks. And I didn't even remember I did it until I got out of the hospital and all these sketchbooks started coming in the mail. And Dave was like, "What did you do?" He's like, "I should have taken your credit card away or your debit card." I don't use credit cards. I'm a good girl. I guess good girl's relative when I'm buying sketchbooks while medicated. Anyway, I digress. This was me playing with gouache. I think I was taking a class or something. Oh yeah, the Ruth Wilshaw Gouache Bootcamp. Highly recommend. Oh my gosh, look her up. Ruth Wilshaw. As you will see in the next couple of pages, like, I made some amazing stuff by following her class. Like, come on, I painted those guys. I am not good at gouache. And I learned to do that in her class. It is not expensive at all. So I'll see if I can post a link in the description for the Ruth Wilshaw classes. Oh my gosh. They're just courses you take at your own pace. I totally almost burped while I was talking on video. How embarrassing. How dare I show that I'm human. Okay, here's me planning a portable painter gouache palette. And then this is me playing with the Sarah Burns Craftimo brushes. I like them. I just don't use them as much as I thought I would. Maybe as I get more into gouache, I will. They're wonderfully made. They're really good quality, but they were a little bit pricey for me. I don't like to spend a lot on brushes that are just like for fun. If I was like a serious gouache artist, I would say yes, buy them. If you're really serious about gouache, I highly recommend them. But as a watercolor artist mainly, I would say maybe not. Oh, here's me putting shiny, shimmery gouache over watercolor to see what would happen. And then those are the gouache iridescents. And then here's me playing with gouache like watercolor. Yet again, I know I have a problem. Okay, this is an Etcher The Perfect Sketchbook. 8.3 by 11.7, 100% cotton, cold press, but I'm going to tell you this paper was super rough. Compared to the other Etcher sketchbook cold press, this paper was rough. I still did some really fun stuff on it, but I just remember that it was quite a bit of adjusting to, and I like my paper more on the less rough side. But I digress. It was a really well made sketchbook, good quality paper, and a delight to paint in. This time I did not recover it. I don't like those fabric covers. They just gross me out. They get really like dingy and gross really fast for me. So that's why I recovered my other one. But this one I really liked the cover. And I could put stickers on it. Oh, that was me painting praying watercolors using praying watercolors. I was just trying out some new styles of doing, I don't know what you would call that, but like vignettes, I want to say. And this sketchbook was when I first started painting outside, like painting plein air. So this is like my very first actual like nature plein air sketchbook. So I was going outside. These ones I actually did sitting on the beach in San Diego. So that was a really fun experience. And that's where I learned that, holy crap, it's such a meditation. And then this was in my friend's front yard while we sat and chatted. So that was really fun. And then this is out in my front yard in Idaho. And then there's me swatching my palette again. There's a mushroom I found in my yard. It was like the size of a basketball or something. Okay, it wasn't that big, but it was big. Size of a grapefruit, okay? It was huge. So I had to paint it. And then these were the peonies in my front yard. I didn't quite capture it. And there's a moldy burdock leaf. You can make anything look pretty if you try. Okay. This was me at the gas station. So this picture was on the gas pump at Maverick in Utah. And so I painted it because my husband was getting gas in like 7,000 gas cans. So it took a while. Those are my headphones. My purple ones. I still have them. They work really well. $10 at Walmart. And then that's my Caran d'Ache Neo colors being swatched out. And that's the end of that one. I love how it looks. Okay, here is a Stillman Burn Beta Series softcover premium sketchbook, white paper, 26 sheets. I have another one of these in hardcover, and I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. I might need to sell it because I don't love the paper. It kind of feels more like cardstock to me. So I did attempt to use it for the Daniel Smith live sessions. And the craziest thing happened. So every week before the live sessions, I was putting on lotion. I'd like wash my hands and put on lotion. And I guess the lotion I was using was really greasy because a couple of these pages I was painting on, I'm like, did the sizing go bad on this paper? Like my paint was repelling. You see there on the right, my paint was repelling on the paper. And it took me a couple of weeks to realize it was my lotion I was putting on before the sessions. So you got to be aware of like, if your hands are greasy or lotiony or whatever, it was not going very well. Ooh, that was a fun gouache demo that I followed along with. It was Carlos Avelino Reyes. There was me playing with tinting watercolor ground with buff titanium, I think, or something. Anywho, so this sketchbook got abandoned just because I was not enjoying painting in it. I'll be truly honest. There's me painting along with Ruth. Ruth does a lot of birds, and so I was trying to paint along. Anyway, you know, a lot of artists love these little sketchbooks for, like urban sketching. When you use like ink and watercolor, they're really great for using a fountain pen because it's a really smooth paper. But for my taste, I just didn't enjoy it. It just honestly felt like I was painting on cardstock. So, yeah, I gave it my best try. I know a lot of artists who love these little sketchbooks, so don't be discouraged by me. You should try it. But as you can see, there's still a bit of pages left. I just kind of went, I'm not enjoying this. Okay, my favorite sketchbook of all time ever. Etcher the Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series Limited Edition. These are amazing. They have Fabriano cold press 100% cotton paper, and it's the natural white versus the extra white. And I love these sketchbooks. Darn it. I love them so much. I've bought 3 of them. I've bought 2 of the cold press and 1 of the hot press. And I've loved every time I've painted in it. This is a painting of the front of our house when my front door was blue last summer. So this is from 2023. Yep. So last year, I love that painting. And then this was me letting my niece and nephew play in my $75 sketchbook. No big deal. And then, yeah, just painting in my yard, pine cones, logs. We have a hill by our house with an elk farm. I was trying to paint the hill. Here's me playing, swatching. And then I did make an attempt at the World Watercolor Month prompts. I made it like 7 days, I think. And then I don't even do prompt lists anymore, guys. I just know I'm not going to make it. They're fun and I want to. I don't know. It's a lot of work. A lot to keep up with. This is plein air that I did. I actually went to this park and painted, and there were ducks watching me. I'll never forget. I looked up and there was these 2 ducks just standing there watching me. And then this is me painting stuff from my front yard. So I planted these sunset runner beans, and they were really pretty. These are my husband's ducks. I tried to paint them. Pears that had fallen on the ground, our tree in the backyard. This was me. I was sick in bed or having pain or something, and I did this is my favorite, my chickens. I want to put those in a book if I do it. And these sunflowers are one of my favorite sketchbook sketch of all time. Here's dinner. I made Chinese food for dinner, so I had to paint it, of course. And then I took myself out for a sketchbook date, and I painted the eclair that I got myself. That looks so good. I want to eat it. And then there's one I did a rainy day inside the house. And then painting my plants that I had at my kitchen table. And then that was me playing with Derwent watercolor pencils. Still not sure what the heck to do with watercolor pencils. And then there's me those are the colors that I used mostly. And then those are all my fountain pens and inks. Gosh, you guys, fountain pens are a rabbit hole. A very expensive rabbit hole. Just be warned. Okay, this was me trying to replicate the last sketchbook by making my own. So this is the Fabriano Artistico soft press paper that I love, the extra white, 140 pound or 300 GSM. I think this ended up being like 44 pages-ish. I don't know. It's pretty thick. And it's faux leather cover. And I made 3 of these, a small, medium, and a large. And I love this sketchbook. So I am planning a YouTube video about how to make sketchbooks, but that one's going to take a long time to make because it's a lot of work. So there's my daughter in her wheelchair. There's my daughter's horse. It ended up looking cartoony, and I freaking love it. There's a Daniel Smith live session. Oh, I spent the night in the hospital with my niece who has Down syndrome, and she asked me to do her phone. So that was what that was. Our pear tree, our mailbox. I went and took myself on a date to the reservoir. Actually, I think I was with my husband in that one. And then here's some mixing, painting grapes on the counter. They were all shriveled up. My niece with Down syndrome made that grid with a Sharpie for me, and I painted it in. Same with the one on the right hand. So those are special to me. She was going through cancer treatment, and it was getting pretty scary. And so it's really precious to me that I have her artwork in my sketchbook. There's somebody was chopping firewood and left it, and then that was the other one was a Walmart pickup line. And yep, old tin shed trying to paint rust. Garden gate, just random things from my yard. And then this time of year the sunflowers were starting to wilt, starting into fall, autumn. And yeah, there's me playing with praying watercolors again. They're very vibrant on this paper, honestly. You wouldn't even know. Oh, that one's fun. There's a bunch of different things from Halloween. And then painting the pumpkin that I carved for my daughter and playing with Daniel Smith watercolor sticks. This was me practicing human eyes. I love painting eyes. They're so cool. And then this was a watercolor versus gouache study, if you will. There's some foraging me and my niece and nephews did. And then again, letting my 3-year-old niece paint in my sketchbook with praying watercolors. And it was so thick
that it was sticking together, so I had to put something between there. And then these are my fountain pen and ink records. I have so many fountain pens and inks that I had to keep a record of what ink was in which pen. So that's it for that sketchbook. And yes, I put an elastic on it. This is another Etcher Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series Special Edition, Limited Edition 2023 Hot Press. I didn't love the hot press paper as much, but if I'm going to use hot press, I do like the Fabriano. I still ended up having fun in this sketchbook. It is the natural white paper. I tend to be more of a bright white or extra white paper kind of girl, but I enjoyed this sketchbook. I probably won't purchase the hot press edition again, but I would purchase the cold press if I can't make my own. All right, so this one I started last November 2023. And just doing my gouache palette. I used this one for a lot of gouache because hot press paper is really great for gouache. So a lot of these are a lot of these are gouache. That one is watercolor. It was my niece's backpack. She asked me to paint it. So each one of these I was watching a movie. I was watching the old Oklahoma with my daughter with that last fire one. And then this one was my journal cover and my favorite fountain pen, which I broke. And then just practicing gouache with some birds. And that's my dog. She was staring at me like that while I was watching a movie, so I painted her. And then that was just playing around. I like that one. It was fun. Then I was trying to capture the snow on the branches outside my window. Then this is me playing with some Daniel Smith gouache. As you can see, I was still doing it like watercolor because I love watercolor. And you can use it like watercolor, but what's the point? Like if you're going to buy gouache, use it as gouache. If you want watercolor, buy watercolor, right? And then this was, I got some Holbein gouache. I really like the Holbein. I think it's good gouache. I would say Daniel Smith is my favorite, of course. And then this was me playing with some student grade watercolor that I was going to be using for a youth class I was teaching, and the budget was really tiny, so I was just using some student grade Art Whale. Actually turned out to be really good watercolor. I was surprised. And then that's just some mixing. And the end, that's my pen and ink log, just like the last one. So that's that. So yeah, I if you like hot press, buy it. So this is my second Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series Limited Edition cold press. Like I said, it's that Fabriano paper. I love it. And I would say hands down, this is my favorite sketchbook I've ever done. So this one I started in January and finished in January. Like I literally painted every single day in January. It was winter time and we were home. We weren't really doing a lot. I homeschool my kids, and so we watched a lot of movies. And I did a lot of these paintings while me and my daughter listened to audiobooks or read. She read to me and we took turns. That's my palette that got out of control. So it's a portable painter palette, and I ended up putting color in every single mixing slot. So that's my favorite palette to this day. My husband made cookies and I had to document it. And then this was just me playing around. Got my Neo colors. Some cereal is my favorite cereal that month. The s'mores cereal. So good. And then avocados. I painted my Ferris wheel press inks. And I am so proud of how I captured those glass bottles. I gotta tell you. And this is one of my favorites. This is the top ramen. I was just painting whatever I could find while we would watch movies. There's some of my favorite candy. I couldn't find anything to paint, so I literally grabbed an onion and a potato. There's another time where I grabbed a jar of peanut butter. And then from this point forward, I start writing what movie we're watching. So, actually not this one, but I'm trying to remember where we were watching that one, but that's my gouache palette. That's my husband's breadsticks. Oh my gosh, he made the best breadsticks. Okay, so this one we were watching Big Fish. This one I was watching The Illusionist with my husband and we had ice cream. This one I was watching Footloose with my daughter. Never Ending Story. I love how bright and colorful this one turned out. just grab something from your fridge and paint it. It's super fun. So that's the end of that one. And yes, I do recommend those sketchbooks. They're an investment. Okay, this one is my favorite handmade sketchbook. It's very special. I used it for my Italy trip. I didn't end up finishing it because it's hot press paper. I bought a ton of the Fabriano hot press and I wanted to use it up, so I made a sketchbook for Italy. These are some of the business cards I gathered from some friends I met in Italy. I got to meet Lauren McCracken. He's a fellow Daniel Smith brand ambassador and an incredible realism watercolorist. Donna, she's amazing. And a friend named Debbie Backer, Fine Art. She was really sweet. She was in a workshop with me. So those are some cards I gathered. This sketchbook was made out of a vintage book. So this book it's a very valuable book, but I decided to make it into a sketchbook. It's called The Book of Wildflowers, and the author inscribed it to a friend, 1927, and it's just really special. So the book was written in 1924, and I just used the cover. So it says, "To my good friends, may these flowers ever speak to you of the pleasure you and your husband gave me while in South America." Something like that. That is the gouache palette I took to Italy, and I did end up using it. This was a place in a little mountaintop village called Pinabili, and I painted the pizza place while I sat on the steps of a cathedral, go figure. This was my first dinner on our painting holiday. This is a place in Fabriano. It's called the Pinoteca. This was at the Marchese di Grillo mansion. That was fun. Honestly, I didn't do a lot of sketching in Italy, guys. I was just having the time of my life, and I just was having too much fun exploring. This was paper samples and a postcard from the Fabriano Paper and Watermark Museum, which is a really cool place to visit, and that's where they make the Fabriano paper that I love. And then this was, I met a friend named Marco from Milan, and he painted the coffee maker for me. It was really sweet of him to give that to me. And then this is in Florence. Me and my friend Caroline had pizza. That is a really good memory. I have so many stories from that day. So that was our day in Florence. And that one on the top left is actually a postcard. I did not paint that, but I did paint the other stuff. And then I could never finish a sketch. So this was in another mountaintop village by Fabriano called Calamato, and I could not finish the sketch, and I had to pee really bad, and all the places were closed. Oh, Castle Farnetto. Oh my gosh, go to my Instagram and go back to that. That was an adventure. And this was at a place called Lake Trasimeno, Italy, in I'm trying to remember the name of the town that it's next to. That was a beautiful day sitting next to the lake. This is back in Bologna. So I was in Bologna the first 3 days, and then after painting holiday, this was the day that I was to fly home. I got to spend the day with my friend Sue Bradley in Bologna. It was really special. And that is a wrapper from my favorite chocolate down there on that page. And I ended up buying some at the airport and taking it home with me, and we ate it in like a day and a half because it was so good. My family is forever ruined for Hershey's chocolate because they tried Italian chocolate. And that's all my boarding passes, tickets, I don't know, just ephemera that I wanted to put in and wanted to do all these sketches. I took so many pictures and videos. Yeah, baggage claim stuff. And then this is a map I printed out of Pinabili, which was one of my favorite places we visited. These are the sketchbooks I'm still working on. Okay, this is a Hobby Lobby Master's Touch smooth, like a hot press Bristol sketchbook, and I use this one for gouache. So this one is very inexpensive. The spine broke really quickly. I think I got it half off, so I didn't even pay $14. I think I paid $8 or something. That was really fun. That one is from another Ruth Wilshaw class. That was so fun. So yeah, I really recommend if you're into gouache, take a Ruth Wilshaw class. She's amazing and she's a good teacher. So this is me swatching out my Daniel Smith gouache and mixing. I now have the whole set, but I originally had only started out with a couple. And then the ambassadors were all sent the full set, so that was really cool. This is the swatches of my Holbein gouache, which I ended up trading to another artist down at the Salt Lake City Urban Sketchers art supply trade-off. So she now has those and is enjoying them. And yeah, guys, gouache is not my thing, but I'm trying. This is just me playing, mixing. Honestly, swatching the gouache was probably the best thing I could have done because it helped me understand how much water to use. So this is me starting with white and then going to the pure strength, like mixing, adding white until I go back to the pure strength. That is a really good exercise if you want to learn water control with gouache. And then this is the rest of the Daniel Smith colors. And I think they will be coming out with more. And then this was me playing around creating that gouache palette for Italy. I do really like a Bristol or a hot press for gouache. And then this is me. I was making swatch cards and I had leftover paint, so I decided to put it in a sketchbook, and that sketchbook is ongoing. So the rest of these sketchbooks are still ongoing and they're not finished. This is another handmade one with my favorite Fabriano Artistico soft press paper. Okay, so this is for granulation mixes and recipes. So I dedicate this sketchbook to that, and that's why it's not finished, because it's still ongoing. Okay, so these are some mixes I made. I'm loving how all these companies are coming out with their own like super heavy granulation. I know Schminke started it, but truly Daniel Smith started it, if you really want to know. So some of these are really pretty. I am loving some of the mixes. Some of these are like I was trying to do like a Roman schmal, ocean blue, and urban gray. I really like those mixes, and so I was trying to come up with what I could do with Daniel Smith. And I do plan a series, like a video series on my recipes that I'm making. I have like all these little recipe cards in a little recipe box. So that's been super fun. And anytime somebody suggests, that actually goes with the ocean blue page, put that back in there. Anytime somebody suggests a recipe, I will like immediately put it in a note on my phone so that I can try it later. So, ooh, I love this mix. It's Sodalite, Genuine Rose of Ultramarine, and Lunar Black. Try it. You won't regret it. Okay, this is the Etcher sketchbook, the one with the white fabric cover. This is the 5x8-ish cold press, 100% cotton. I like this sketchbook. It's still ongoing. I did dye the cover and wax the cover. I used my favorite, what's it called? The cold wax medium that I use for my paintings. And I wouldn't recommend it because it kind of made it a little sticky-ish. This one I did take to Italy with me and used it in workshops. So I took a workshop from my friend Lorena Massa. She's amazing. She does a lot of portraits. And someday I'll show everybody the portrait I slaughtered. This is my friend Caroline Diebel. She did an amazing workshop. She's so much fun. She honestly just gave us some ideas and then let us go crazy. This was one I took with Ida Tentalini. Yeah, something like that. I loved her command of the Italian language. It was such an art form in and of itself. So she would say it in English, then she would say it in Italian, and it was just really fun. And then this was some colors that I bought while in Italy. This was another sketch I did at Lake Trasimeno. The thing is like, while the one was drying, I grabbed my other sketchbook and painted it again. I was just trying to capture that color of the water. It was so pretty. And then that's just me playing around with some of the paints I got. And this is me swatching the little dot cards on the airplane. This was me playing with some dot cards I got from friends in Italy. Sennelier dot card I got. Rajat's dot card. So all of my friends' dot cards from when I was hanging out at the Daniel Smith booth. This was a lupine that I grew in my yard, and I was trying to do a certain type of painting. I really liked that sketch. It was fun. And that's me just playing with color. I like the way this paper works. It's really nice to paint on. And then that was me swatching the luminescence for a Instagram live. They knocked my socks off. Honestly. Super fun. And then these are some really ugly pages. But I was swatching the luminescence over watercolors just to see what would happen. Those are probably the ugliest swatches I've ever seen. And then this was me just like having fun. I got some Daniel Smith dot cards, like the whole 266 set of dot cards, and I just swatched them out while I watched movies with my family. So that's what I do. And it's really fun to have the whole set swatched all together for the first time ever. I've had 2 sets of the other dot cards, the 230 something dot cards, but this is the first time I've had like the full 266 dot card set. It even has the gouache on it. Okay, here's another Arteza watercolor book, same as before. And this one I started ages ago, like 2020, I want to say. And what I did was I tabbed the pages for color, and then I would swatch every color that I got, or any dot card that I got, I would swatch out the color, and I would start with like full strength and swatch down and make it more watery. And then I kind of like changed my method from time to time, as you can see. It's kind of fun to look at, honestly, but I forgot about it until I was doing this sketchbook tour, and I was like, oh hey, yeah, that a project that I forgot about. It happens. We artists, we're always jumping around, trying new things. But yeah, maybe I'll add to it now that I remember that I have it. It's really pretty to look at all the colors. The G is for granulation, so I know what colors are granulating. I should have put pigment numbers in it. That would have been extra helpful. Because it doesn't just have Daniel Smith. It has like every brand that I've tried. And then that's just the Daniel Smith Mineral Marbles because I bought the dot card. Okay, here's another handmade sketchbook. This one has a faux leather cover, 8.5 by 11. This is 100% cotton Bao hot press paper. I got it on a block. I didn't love it. I decided to just use it as like a playful sketchbook, and I've kind of set it aside. I don't love hot press. I just have a hard time painting on it. So that one is unfinished. I don't know what to say. Okay, this is another Strathmore 500 mixed media softcover. It's just the smaller version, so it's the 5.5 by 8. It is 100% cotton, 190 GSM, 64 pages, and it's $13.99 right now. That was me waiting for somebody at the church house. Saw snow shovels and painted them, and this thing has just become play. This paper's just like fun to play with and fun to just do crazy things on when you're feeling playful. I don't know what it is about it, but I can't do an actual sketch on it. I just like to play on it. So that's as far as I got on that one. Here's another handmade sketchbook, this time with toned tan paper. I had bought a spiral pad from Hobby Lobby of the toned tan for my gouache, and I really love doing gouache on the toned tan. So this one's a work in progress as well, and I don't know why, but I feel like I'm saving gouache for like another day. I don't know. I own like the whole Daniel Smith gouache set, and I am like so excited about that it like paralyzes me and I don't know what to do. It's like too much almost. Not that I'm complaining. Trust me. I am like, pinch me. I love having all that paint to play with, but I get overwhelmed and I'm like, I have so much, there's so many possibilities. So this was me playing and never finishing. I took a class and I never finished. Yeah, so that sketchbook is full of possibilities. This is my Stillman Burn Beta series, the same as the other, just in a small landscape format. This is my ink sketchbook. So anytime I get a new ink, I put it in here. And it's just a really great way to keep track of the ink. So the big swatches are the ones I own a whole bottle of, and then there will be tiny swatches, and those will be my samples, because I don't want to use up a lot of ink if it's just a sample. Actually, I don't own a whole bottle of the Apatite. I wish I did. That's so pretty. And then these are samples. Actually, yeah, these are all samples, and I wasted so much ink doing samples. That one I own a whole bottle of, the Ferris Wheel Press. I'm disappointed in it because it's so light when I write with it that I can hardly see it. It's really pretty though to play with. Those organic studio paints are insane. Not paints. Inks are insane. I use them for journaling and they're gorgeous. They have that sheening quality to them. I'm still learning all the lingo. There's shading, sheening, shimmering. Yeah. And I own a bunch of like really inexpensive Jinhao Shark Fude tip pens. You can buy like a whole set of them. And they're amazing for like putting your ink samples in. And then this is another handmade sketchbook with a linen cover. I don't know the size. It is 100% cotton Strathmore Bristol 90-pound paper. And it's really old. It's like yellowed because it's so old. This paper is so fun to paint on. I wish you could hear the crinkle of the paper because like painting on this thin paper, there's something about it. It kind of like, it crinkles. Okay, here's another Tumuarta watercolor journal. I showed one in the beginning. This is just another one of those that I bought because I really enjoy it. So this one is currently in my handbag with a portable painter micro palette and a couple water brush pens because it is just really fun to have this. I'm not worried about anybody having my number, honestly. And then this is the palette, my current palette that I'm using. This is from February. I took myself on a date to Kneaders, which is my favorite place to eat. And I got the roast beef au jus and I painted it. This was me waiting for my son at the orthodontist yet again. And this is a place in the little town that I live in. It's like a little schoolhouse that just is in restoration. This was in Lava Hot Springs, Idaho. We went to a little Thai restaurant that used to be a gas station and now it's a Thai restaurant. And it was really good food. And those egg rolls were not mine. I painted someone else's food. This was date night in Preston, Idaho, where we sort of live. We live near Preston, Idaho. And then this was me playing with permanent brown. Daniel Smith is such an amazing color. I can't believe I just discovered it this year. And then that was my kombucha bottle while we were at Kneaders again on another occasion. This was after I got hematite genuine. So that's me mixing it and playing around while we watched a movie. This was on a date night with my husband to a restaurant, Mexican restaurant, and it just had a fun atmosphere, so I painted it. I love that sketch. I think I like the small sketchbooks for like on the go because there's no pressure. I was trying to paint my shoe and I didn't finish, so that's what that was. And then this was just me playing around painting rocks from my imagination. This was at church. I was trying to paint my pack of gum. I didn't finish it. This was up in the mountains on Mother's Day this year, sitting by the river. It was really fun. And then this was the pew at church. I don't go to church often these days, but when I do, I have to paint. Like, I just have to. This was on a anniversary trip my husband and I just had. And then this was a trip we took up to Bear Lake with our friends, our son's girlfriend's family, actually. So it was really fun. And then this one I'm having a lot of fun in. And since this video, I've made more sketches in this. So this is also Tumuarta brand. I think I got this one on Temu, but guys, find it on Amazon or something. I don't support Temu anymore. They are stealing from artists. And it is not okay. And I don't know what else horrible practices they're doing, but I will not support Temu. All right, let me hop off my soapbox and I'll tell you about this. This is a 100% cotton sketchbook and I love it. Can I just say I love it? The paper is like different and it's like soft and I don't know how to explain it, but look at these paintings I made and I'm proud of them. I am just happy with this paper and I've been having so much fun on it. I don't know, it's just different. That was a bridge where we were camping, and then that's another one I did at Bear Lake. Often I'll have two sketchbooks with me, and then that's a flower. I have finished that painting and it turned out really pretty. So that's it. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I hope you liked the sketchbook tour. Okay, love you. Bye.